All prophecy about the end of the age in the Bible has a central focus, the people of Israel.
Dick, you just returned from a Christian media summit in Israel where you learned firsthand what is taking place there right now.
Yes, it was a very busy week of meetings and on-site visits that gave us a boots-on-the-ground perspective.
You'll want to stay with us as we share this amazing report on LifeLine Today.
Welcome to LifeLine Today. We're glad you have tuned into this program because, Joan, we have a very special report of a trip that I recently took. And so just remember the phone lines are open during the program as well. We love hearing from you. Joan, I was invited actually by the government of Israel, where they paid all expenses, not the flights, but all expenses when I was there. And of course, there were about 125, 150 media people, journalists from all over the world.
I think they said 150, but they were from all around the world, Dick. So it was quite a...
I was the only one from Canada.
Yes.
Now, this was the 7th, although there was those COVID years where they didn't do it. And the intention of this is for the, you're being hosted by the Israeli government, but the intention is it's actually the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, technically, but to communicate with boots on the ground. Like, this is literally what's happening. And one of the reasons for that, Joan, is that Israel does not get a fair shake in the media.
That's for sure.
It's typically the Gazans are portrayed as the victims and Israel as the aggressor, when it's the opposite. And it's actually horrific when you actually go there and see what's actually going on. That was only one place we went.
So Dick, just tell us then about the summit. What happened? What did you do there?
Well, again, it was a lot of meetings. We were hosted at the Dan Jerusalem Hotel. There was banquet rooms and meeting rooms there. Plus, we went to various locations. One was the Friends of Zion Museum, which is very close to the old city. There was another place that we went to that, hosted the event, and kind of like a museum, but, it's to memorialize some of the history of Israel. So we went to places like that. So we didn't really go to the tourist sites. That wasn't the intent. It wasn't a tourist trip. And let me just say, it was busy. I had to go day and night almost for the entire time. I came home quite tired, actually, because it was an intense schedule. But Joan...
you actually went from everywhere, from the top of Israel to the bottom of Israel, and you saw different things, museums, monuments that were built, and you listened to so many people in leadership in Israel, from governors to IDF leaders, army leaders, and there was a message from the Prime Minister by video for you.
We did have the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We had other government dignitaries, of course. But, it was the Christian Friends, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, who really co-sponsored with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They put this together. So I want to just say the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is a phenomenal organization, massive organization, do an amazing job. I met the CEO, Yael Eckstein, and we were able to give her a special gift from our congregation here.
People who handmade things to give her. She was really emotional when she received that.
She's a very authentic person.
Very
genuine. So it wasn't just the people we met, though. It was the information that we were constantly being provided. And it wasn't like this person got hurt. We met the family. This one place in northern Israel, we met the family that a rocket. Now, these were Druze, not Jews. These were Druze who are, if you know a little bit about Israel, there's, the Muslims and all around, but there's a Druze community that believe in one God and are very favorable and friendly with the Jews, with Israel. and Israel protects them because they're persecuted in Syria. They're massacred in other places because they're not like the Muslims, and
Yeah.
so it's kind of a sad thing. But this was a Druze village, and Syria had launched rockets into the soccer pitch, the soccer field, and the woman was there. She lost her 11-year-old daughter,
Wow.
and the pictures of her were she was such a beautiful daughter and such a loving family, and she was quite emotional when she shared this. But this was in this kibbutz that we visited.
Yeah.
We went to a place called Metula. Now, if you go to the very point, the tip of Israel at the top, Metula is there. And within visual distance is Lebanon on one side and Syria on the other. And this city of about 70, 80,000 was being rocketed from, there were rockets coming in from both sides. And so Israel had to actually evacuate. And they just obliterated this town. We met some families, and a young girl in particular, a 30-year-old girl, was moved back with her mom. So 30% have moved back, and the government has helped them rebuild their homes. And of course, Israel has also extended a security border around. They've taken territory to secure their citizens. And, you know, the media takes that as an aggressive act. It's a defensive act.
Yes, right.
If they don't do this, their citizens will be continually killed. We went to the West Bank, Joan, which is they call Samaria, we call it Samaria, and there was a business there, several businesses that we visited, a pallet ministry building pallets and different things, and then we went to a winery where they fed us lunch, and it has a viewpoint that you can see just west from, you know, it's the upper side of the Jordan Valley. You can see west all the way to Jerusalem. And it was absolutely beautiful. But what they showed us is that many Arabs work alongside with Jews. They have jobs, they get to buy homes, they get to live good lives, and they love that the Jews are there.
Yeah.
This is not what media tell you.
They love to cohabit. They love to work together. They love to do life together, Dick.
They live peaceably.
Yes, they
Nobody
do.
is forcing them to convert or to renounce things. They live peaceably with it, and they get good jobs.
Yeah.
And they live a peaceable life. And that is really one of the things Israel does provide for all the inhabitants. Joan, it's the only nation, small nation, that has a mixed population. Over 2 million Arabs in Israel living with the Jews.
Yeah.
So you can
And
see.
you don't hear about that.
No.
You know,
There are
I know on one of the tours we went on, I really wanted to go to a hospital and see what was going on in the hospital. It was in Jerusalem. They took me, and the thing that I will never forget was seeing the little Arab mummies with their babies, and they were being treated like gold. And I thought that said it all for me. I mean, the Jews want to live peaceably with the Arab people.
Do you know that Israel, the Arabs can come from other parts of Israel, and they can come, and they have their own hospitals.
Yeah.
You know, so-called Palestinian hospitals, but they won't have their babies there. They want them in Israel's hospitals because they're so clean and so well cared for. And Israel does not charge them. It's free medical aid. Again, there's a disparity in the media that vilify Israel and make the Arabs, and it's not all the Arabs.
It isn't.
It's Hamas and Hezbollah, the radicals.
The radicals,
And they're suicide bombers, they're killers. And one of the most sobering things we did, Joan, is we went to the site of the Nova Festival where a massacre took place. Over 1,300 were slaughtered, innocent people.
I remember, Dick, that day because I was at home and I was praying for you and fasting for this trip, and that was in the spirit. That was a very intense day. I felt just very intense in the spirit, and I really had to pray for you. And then I heard from you in the evening. There were a couple of times where our hours overlapped, and we were either morning or evening, and we could text each other and talk. But I said, what was up that day? And you said, well, we actually went to the site of the massacre.
It was a kibbutz and a music festival.
And I heard the words from you, which I don't hear very often, words like this from you. But I heard the words horrifying, barbarous. I heard the words heart-wrenching when you told me about the things that had taken place in that kibbutz, about how that babies were killed
Stabbed.
brutally in front of their parents and
Yeah.
burned in
Intentionally
ovens.
to inflict as
Yes,
much emotional and physical pain as possible.
exactly. And then so many were taken hostage or kidnapped that day, taken hostage. And but it was just a brutal, brutal day.
Yeah.
And you saw it.
Yeah.
Dick, how did you feel standing on the ground there?
Well,
When,
I have to commend Israel.
yeah,
They set up a memorial, and you'll see this picture where all these posts are. This is where these young people died. You'll see, I got some pictures of the kibbutz that they attacked. The kibbutz is right next to the festival, the music festival.
and that was where they attacked first, right?
First, they came across. Joan, it's like a city block away to
Wow.
Gaza. So they came across. I heard the IDF say to me several times, they said, we failed. We haven't had a major war since for 50 years.
Yeah.
And they said we became complacent.
Yeah.
We realized we were not vigilant enough. It took them 4 to 5 hours to respond to
Wow.
this site. And they said this should never
And
happen.
by that time, the massacre had taken place.
Oh, and they had moved on
Yeah.
and taken hostages and so
Yeah.
forth. Well, we know the story. And let's make a distinction. There are Arabs that live in the Middle East, in Gaza, in, of course, Lebanon and Syria and nations around, and including Samaria, the West Bank, but they are not, they're peaceable. They want to live a peaceable life, and they live alongside the Jews. So you have a nation where there's Jews and Arabs together living peaceably, but there are radicals and extremists that want to provoke war constantly. And in their ideology, if they die fighting a war for Islam, they are honored with 72 virgins in eternity, and this ideology drives them.
Also, Dick, they have an ideology as well that Israel needs to be wiped off the map.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're talking about the radicals now. We're not talking about the
extremists.
everyday. We're talking about extremists, but talk about that. Why do they feel Israel should be
Well,
demolished?
if you're coming from an Islamic perspective,
Yeah.
they believe their Mahdi, their Messiah, will come to the Temple Mount. And of course, they have a mosque there today, but that's their belief, and that it'll be eradicated and made a pure Muslim world.
Yes.
Not just, once they have Israel, that's not the end. That's the rest of the world they want.
Yeah.
And so that's partially it. The other part, I believe, is spiritual, demonic.
Yeah.
And that I'm not blaming just on Muslims or anyone else. It's demonic because Jesus said his foot will set on the Mount of Olives.
Yes,
which,
that's
if you
right.
know, is just, it's just a valley away from the Temple Mount. And then it says that he will come in through the eastern gate and enter into the temple. So the belief is that Israel at one point will restore a temple, and they can, Joan.
Yeah.
It does not interfere with the mosques that are on the temple. They could do it and align it to the eastern gate. Now, we heard none of that in Israel. I just want you to know, they didn't talk about building a temple. If that's even in the works, it is completely secret, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying the Bible says, because when Christ comes, that's what he will do.
So what you're saying is a lot of these radicalized Arab people who think that Israel should be wiped off the map, they don't even really know the significance of the spiritual.
Probably not. Probably not. Not to the degree. Their ideology says that their Mahdi, their Messiah, has to be supreme and take over that entire land.
Yeah.
If they give any room, this is Israel's practical reality. If you give anything away to the Arabs, the extremist Arabs in that area, they don't like to call them Palestinians. And let me just say, our government raised the Palestinian flag and recognized Palestine. It doesn't exist, Joan.
Wow.
Palestine was a name that Rome gave to Israel because they wanted to eradicate Israel. And they did in 125 AD. So it's not existent. And this is something I think I want to stress, is that there's a twisting of the ideology and the truth that Israel has always existed, even if they were eradicated for a period of time, and they have a biblical right to that land. The present state is not a biblical state. It is actually It's a secular state, but it's very Jewish, right?
Yes.
But there are secular Jews living there. So, and then of course there's Muslims, many Muslims.
Yeah.
So it's a multicultural, multi-religious state, but there is a spiritual state of Israel. And I want to make that clear. When the Bible talks about the restoration of Israel, it's talking about the spiritual Israel.
Yeah.
And then it says in this Zechariah, they will look upon him whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as one has mourned for their only son.
Yeah.
A prophecy about revelation of Christ. You know, Joan, this gripped me when I was there. It's there literally. I spent a day and a half just half a block from the city wall, the old city wall, walked around that area. It was amazing. And the historic significance of that is just so amazing. We're going to come back in a few moments. I got more to share. We should probably do more programs on this subject, but
We will.
We've got more to share, and we'll share them with you in that when we come back.
Help change the spiritual climate of Canada by becoming a monthly partner with LifeLine today. All donors will receive this year's LifeLine Today fridge magnet, a reminder that you stand together with Dick and Joan for Canada. Pledge your support of $25 a month and receive this silver keychain and pendant declaring Joshua 1:9. Partner at $50 a month and receive as our thank you the Revival History of Canada by Dr. Luke Niebergall. This book will captivate you with the rich revival history of Canada as we look forward to the next national move of God. LifeLine Today would also like to send you the large print Amplified Study Bible with over 5,000 concise study notes to help better understand God's Word and enrich your walk with the Lord. It is our thank you gift to you for your faith-filled partnership of $100 a month. Your tax-deductible donation will empower this ministry to release the prophetic voice of God across our nation. Call today and say yes to becoming a partner with Dick and Joan.
Matthew 12:36 says, I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give account for every careless word they speak. Did you know that our words can give us access to God's kingdom on earth and the purpose He created us for? Or they can create roadblocks to His purpose. By choosing our words carefully, we can make a meaningful difference in our lives and the lives of others. We're here to pray with you, so if you'd like prayer today, give us a call here in the LifeLine Today Prayer Center. Our number is 403-942-0123, or email us at prayercenter@dickandjoan.com.
Welcome back. We're talking about my recent trip to Israel. Just if you've just tuned in, all expenses were paid for media people, and I was the only one from Canada on this trip, to go to Israel and see on site the things that are going on. We went to what they call the West Bank or Samaria. We went far north, and we went all the way down to Gaza.
Yeah.
It was quite a trip, Joan.
Yeah.
And I came home quite tired.
You were quite tired when you came home, but I asked you, was it worth it?
Oh,
And you said to me, absolutely, it was worth it, and I'd do it again.
that was my fourth trip to Israel, and you know what, Joan? I'd go again.
Yeah.
And I'd go again, and I'd go again.
Yeah.
If you know your Bible, if you know the prophetic significance of Israel in this hour, you love it when you're there because you're seeing the scriptures fulfilled with your own eyes.
What were some of your main takeaways from this trip, Dick?
Well, you know, I'll tell you the main one.
Okay.
And nobody said this to me. This was my takeaway because we've been there, you and I, well, actually, you twice. I was there 3 times before. What I noticed is that even though we were a Christian tour and we were welcomed graciously, this is now in 2006.
And
And
so before.
I noticed that you still had a gap. The Jew and the Christian were still not there. They felt maybe defensive, you know, and maybe Christians have imposed like you need to become messianic, and there are messianic Jews there. I want to say something about that.
And that's good.
But I found this time, Joan, I didn't sense that gap.
Wow.
I found that perhaps what's gone on for 20 years, the Israelites and the people in Israel have come to understand Christians are our friends. Now, that's evangelical Christians.
Yes, right.
They're not maybe so much the mainline churches, but Christians are our friends.
Yeah.
And we actually come from the same root. Well, that's Bible language, Joan. That's coming right out of Zechariah and Ezekiel. And so, you know, these are and Haggai. These are things that just astound you.
You know, Romans 11, Dick, talks about how that we are not the branch, they are the branch, we're grafted in,
They're the
but
tree, you mean.
they're the tree,
We're the branch.
but we're the branch that's grafted in. But it also says that there is a major, huge harvest coming to the Gentiles.
Yeah.
And then it says, after that is complete, when the fullness of the Gentiles has come in, then all Israel will be saved. Just
There was
comment on that
There was a
scripture,
meeting. It
please.
was actually at the Museum of Tolerance, and it was a big theater, and they had, panelists. This was quite often happened. One of the panelists was actually the president of the National Religious Broadcasters. His name is Troy from the United States. We historically have gone to those big conventions. We were members of the NRB back then. And one person, journalist, said, how do you defend, in the Christian world that Jews and Israel can work together, they can be one? And his just gave one response, and I loved it. He was just short and sweet. He said, "You go read Romans 11." End of story. He said.
Yeah.
And so let me just say to you, if you don't know what Romans 11 is about, go read Romans 11. And
Yeah.
you will discover that God says he is not finished with Israel through the mouth of Paul the apostle. And then at the end, verse 25 to 28, he says, and so all Israel shall be saved. Personally, Joan, I believe one of the ways God is saving Jews is moving on their hearts to do aliyah, which is return to the land.
Yeah.
And by possessing the land, they are fulfilling Bible prophecy.
And that started in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
But when the wall fell and the communist countries,
Yeah.
the communist bloc
They flooded.
countries were open, they flooded home into Israel. And Dick, they're still coming from
Yeah.
every corner of the earth.
And,
And that's so prophetic.
And I want to mention one more thing. Way more Messianic Jews.
Yeah.
Now, my passenger on my seat in the bus rides, we went bus trips, and he was a former IDF soldier. He was Jewish. His name was Chaim, and he was Messianic. And he has a ministry now that he's building on the Galilee by Tiberias called Aliyah Return Center. And you're going to be hearing about that because our plans are to start supporting another ministry. We already support one,
Yes.
the KEP, which feeds the poor in Israel. We're planning to also support this one. Well, I made friends with Chaim,
Yeah.
and he did a video for me, and he actually did a favor for me.
Did a prophetic act for you is what he did.
God told me to do a prophetic act. I couldn't do it, so it was to go to the Mount of Olives and pour out some anointing oil.
Yeah.
And he went and did it for me. And I really appreciated that. We made a very good friend. So we're going to connect with him. You're going to hear more about him. I'll probably have a Zoom interview sometime in the new year with him because, Joan, it was just really, now he's Messianic. So I asked him, I said, do you have any problem? You were in the IDF. You were now, I think he was in special operations because he wouldn't really reveal to me what he's doing now. And he said, no, not whatsoever. They recognize Messianic Jews as much as, Old Testament Jews or traditional Jews. They recognize them the same. And one of the reasons is Christians have been friends of Israel. And may it continue, because even now in the White House, there's been some stuff going on with the balance of power, Saudi Arabia getting some really great jets.
So we can't quit praying. And Dick, in Psalm 122, it says, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and may they prosper who love you. And you know what? Our heart right now just goes out to the nation of Canada and the stance that our government has made.
Very sad.
Just address that a little bit, Dick, and tell people how they need to pray.
Well, you know what, Joan, one of the things we wanted to address is Christians and even people close to us, they'll say, well, that doesn't affect me. Yeah, it does affect you. It affects you deeply and critically. And not only that, the nation that blesses Israel, God will bless.
That's right.
We have a leadership right now that, excuse me, but I'm very upset. To stand up and recognize a Palestinian state that does not exist. And furthermore, the Arabs that are already living within Israel, which no Jews live in any other Arab nation, live better lives, Joan, than their counterparts anywhere else.
That's right.
And they know it. Those are the ones that are very gracious. They're good neighbors.
Yes,
But
right.
there's an extremist faction who want to continually provoke war. And Joan, the only thing we can come up with is who comes to kill, steal, destroy.
Yeah.
But I've come that you might have life, that more abundantly. Jesus said, here, it's easy. I come that you might have life, more abundant life. Who comes to kill, steal, and destroy? What spirit's behind that? So that is going on. And I think that the thing that is good for all of us is to actually go there, because we know this spiritual war here, but there it's very real.
Wow.
It's not just spiritual, it's in the natural. And you remember one time I just said something in one of our tour buses, and it was,
You were protecting one of our
we had
tourists, and she
120
was
people with us.
a little bit older lady,
Yeah.
and she was being harassed.
And this Arab, Palestinian Arab, threw himself at the front of the bus, because I was inside the bus right at the front. And literally, Joan, I thought he was going to break the windshield. Hit anger instantly, just like that, just because I said you don't have to buy his trinkets, because she was a little bit, dementia. And so I was just being protective. That shows you the tension that's there. But let me again say, whatever you hear in the news, and if it puts a negative spin on Israel, it's not true.
There's another side.
There's another side. It is probably the most developed first world nation in the Middle East, and the most tolerant, and gives equality to even their enemies, Joan. But they have to become very strong militarily. If they didn't, they'd be gone just like that.
They wouldn't exist.
Be wiped off.
And you know what, Dick? That will never happen.
It can't happen.
It can't happen because prophecy says Jesus is going to come back and put his foot on the Mount of Olives.
Yeah.
So Israel will be there, and God will help them to be there.
So we're on, by the way, I'm wearing our pin that we give to all our viewers.
Yeah.
Supporters, call, write. And if you send a gift, we send any kind, we'll send you this pin. And it's Canada and Israeli flag.
Yeah.
And you say, well, why do you do that? Because they need friends today.
Yeah.
Listen to me, they need friends. We need to stand with Israel, because their salvation is our salvation.
That's right.
We are part of the olive tree.
Yeah.
I hope this, we'll share more with you in an upcoming program, won't we, Joan?
We will.
Because we shared some pictures, but man, I'll tell you what, we want to share more with you. Well,
So
we're out of time, but remember this, God is good, and
Jesus is your lifeline.
excellent.
This program is supported by viewers like you, and we thank you for partnering with us. We want to hear from you. Send us your prayer requests, praise reports, and comments about the program. To watch past episodes, learn about the ministry, or contact us, visit our website at dickandjoan.com. You can also find us on Facebook at LifeLine Today with Dick and Joan, and on our YouTube channel, Dick and Joan TV.